1 week recess, and today, the 31st of October, is the resumption of the regular plenary sittings. And in the order of business for the members this afternoon is that the members will be considering a motion that seeks to establish a special committee to investigate and report on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, that is the governor of Meru County. This is a motion that will be moved by the Senate Minority Whip. This is the Narok Senator, Honorable Olekina Lidama. And this follows a motion that was approved by the Meru County Assembly to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, that is the governor of Meru County. And on the 27th of October, the office of the Speaker of the Senate was informed of the approval of a motion by the County Assembly to remove by impeachment the Honorable Governor, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the County Assembly. Now, you understand that in such proceedings or in such cases, then the Senate normally appoints a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter. This is pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate, that in this case the Senate usually resolves to appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Already the committee has been established comprising of 11 members, and this will lead to them investigating the proposed removal from office of Governor of Meru County. And pursuant to the House Standing Order number 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. That is one of the order of business that, as members of the Senate resume from the 1 week recess, will be embarking on to establish this special committee of 11 members that has already been set up and will be tasked with investigations on the proposed removal from office of the governor of Meru County. So that is a business that in this afternoon sitting we will be hearing from the senators on the way forward. But as it is, this motion is already in place, and the members will be taking into consideration this particular motion that will be moved by the Senate Minority Whip, Narok Senator Honorable Olekina Lidama. This afternoon, the members of the Senate will also consider the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. This is a motion that will be moved by the chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, Honorable Sheikh Abbas. And in this report, the committee indicated that in this report, the committee recommended the elevation of the municipality of Eldoret to the city status, having met all the requirements of the law to achieve the said status. These are recommendations that have been provided for in the report by the Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. And remember, debate on this particular motion already took place extensively in the Senate chambers, and this afternoon it will be a resumption of a debate that was interrupted on Thursday, 19th October 2023, before the Senate proceeded on the one-week recess. And this afternoon, the mover will be called to reply. The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, as you can see, has stepped into the chambers. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Good afternoon.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. Seek guidance to consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our church. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, at the commencement of House business, the House needs to have a quorum of 15 members in the chambers seated. This is pursuant to the House Standing Order number 40. And upon the arrival of the Speaker, and once the Speaker takes the chair, and after the prayer, if the quorum has not been achieved, then the quorum bell will be on for 10 minutes as having been directed by the Speaker. Currently is the 10-minute quorum bell. This is, of course, to allow members who may be within the precincts of Parliament but yet to get into the chambers to be alerted that their presence is highly required in the chambers for the House to attain its requisite quorum for the House business to commence. That is the Kiambu Senator, Honorable Karungo Thangwa, walking in, as well as the Garissa Senator as well. So what we are likely to be seeing now is that members will be trickling in, but the Sergeant at Arms is alert. Once the quorum is achieved, then he will be alerting the Speaker and the Clerk, and the Speaker will call the House to order, of course, to start the business of the day for this afternoon sitting.
Honorable Senators, I take this opportunity to welcome you back from the one-week recess. In accordance with the calendar of the Senate for the regular sittings, Part 5 begins today, Tuesday, 31st of October, 2023, and will conclude at the rise of the Senate on the 7th of December, 2023. Now, Honorable Senators, you will observe that this will be the last segment of the Senate calendar, regular sessions of the Senate in 2023. It will be a short, indeed a very short one, and that before the Senate undertakes the December-January recess. The resumption of regular sittings in this last part brings with it a certain degree of urgency to conclude the legislative agenda of the Senate. I believe that together we can navigate the intricacies of our legislative procedures and make meaningful contributions for the betterment of our country. It is in this context context that I therefore urge that we redouble our collective efforts in a bid to conclude the business of the Senate by close of the session in December 2023. I also urge the Office of the Senate Majority Leader, the Senate Minority Leader, and the committee chairpersons to do all that is necessary within the standing orders to expedite legislative processing. Honorable Senators, I wish you fruitful deliberations and wish all of you well. I have another communication to make. Honorable Senators, via the letter reference CONF/MINA/CS/Volume 1, dated 19th of October 2023, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration submitted a request to my office seeking the approval of the Senate for the deployment of officers from the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support MSS mission for Haiti. The communication from the Cabinet Secretary indicated that at the meeting held on Friday, 13th October 2023, the National Security Council considered and approved a memorandum number NSC 2313 from the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration and the Attorney General for the proposed deployment of officers from the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support MSS mission for Haiti, pursuant to Article 248A1 of the Constitution. Honorable Senators, Article 239(1) of the Constitution states as follows: the national security organs are A, the Kenya Defense Forces, B, the National Intelligence Service, and C, the National Police Service. Further, Article 248A of the Constitution provides as follows: the Council may, with the approval of Parliament, deploy national forces outside Kenya for regional or international peace support operations or other operations. Now, Honorable Senators, this being a matter of immense national importance, I hereby refer the request of the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration to the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations. The Standing Committee is required to consider the request and undertake public participation and table a report thereon on or before 15th of November 2023 for consideration by the Senate. I thank you. Honorable Senators, you may walk in. Senator Manzo, it's not an opportunity to exchange greetings. We got business to transact. Senator Ledama, kindly take your seat. I need to make a communication. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, visiting delegation of members of staff from various counties undertaking the County Assembly's legislation tracker training. Honorable Senators, the County Assembly's legislation tracker is a platform where information on legislation passed or being considered by the county assemblies is uploaded. The platform will also provide a centralized online space where members of the public and the relevant stakeholders may access bills, legislation being processed by specific county assemblies and promote openness, transparency, and public involvement in the legislative process as required under Article 196 of the Constitution. It is envisaged that the Senate will utilize the system in accessing first-hand and synthesized information on bills and acts passed by the county assemblies in undertaking its oversight and legislative mandates. It is for this reason that the Senate, with the support from the Westminster Foundation of Democracy, WFD, engaged a consultant to develop an online legislative database that will bridge the gap on information on the trends in enactment of legislation by county assemblies. I request each member of staff represented to stand when their county is called out. Meru County. The delegation from Meru. Thank you. Marsabit County. Okay. Tana River County. Taita Taveta County. Lamu County. Kilifi County. Garissa County. Kericho County. Kirinyaga County. Laikipia County. Tharaka Nithi County. Turkana County. Uasin Gishu County. Nyeri County. West Pokot County. Muranga County. Baringo County. Nyandarua County. Trans Nzoia County. Elgeyo Marakwet County. Bomet County. Nairobi County. And lastly, Nandi County. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Majority Leader under 1 minute to extend some words of welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I join you on behalf of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya to welcome this visiting delegation from our various county assemblies who are on a study tour of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the Senate continues to make its contribution in growing and nurturing our various county assemblies through various avenues, one such as the one that is presented today before us. It is my sincere hope, Mr. Speaker, that the delegation will get the full value of their time in the Senate, get to interact with our staff, very competent and well-trained, able, so that as they retreat back to their various county assemblies, they may pass on the same knowledge and skill to our various county assembly members, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know for a fact that despite the fact that you're on the third cycle of members of county assemblies, many of them are yet to learn the art of legislative work. It is difficult to think off the top of your mind outstanding legislation that has come either by way of government bills or privately sponsored in our county assemblies that has significantly changed the way of life or even improved on the quality of life of the various people that these assemblies represent. Therefore, I believe that the training that is being received by these senior staffers of our various county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, will go a long way in helping impart and pass on that knowledge. Because it's a fact, Mr. Speaker, that, and I need not hide this, that even the bills that are considered and passed by this House are done so with the very great input and guidance of our staff, members of staff. Therefore, I hope the colleagues that are here from the county assemblies can get on to learn and train our county assemblies as well. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 3, messages.
Senator Mogeni and Senator Eddy, we are waiting for you to take your seats, so kindly hasten. Now, honorable senators, I have the following message to pass to you. I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 48, I received the following message from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru regarding the passage by the County Assembly of a motion pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act for the removal from office by way of impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. The message was transmitted to the Senate via letter reference number M/Volume 4/43, dated Thursday, 26 October 2023, signed by the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru and received in my office on Friday, 27th October 2023. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 48.5 of the Senate, I shall now report the message to the Senate. This is to inform you that on Wednesday, the 25th day of October 2023, the County Assembly of Meru, via the resolution of the Assembly and pursuant to the provisions of Article 181 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, 2012, as read together with the provisions of Standing Order number 65 of the County Assembly of Meru, Standing Orders, approved the motion to remove from office the Governor of Meru County by way of impeachment. The purpose of this letter is to, therefore, inform you of the aforementioned resolution and to forward the same to your esteemed office in line with the provisions of Section 33(2)(a) of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order 65(6) of the County Assembly of Meru Standing Orders for your further action. Attached herewith, please find a schedule containing the bundle of documents, records containing evidence adduced, notes and records of proceedings before the County Assembly for your reference and records. Senator Sifuna, just walk in. Now, Honorable Senators, as stated in the letter from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru, the following documents were forwarded to the Senate, being the record of the proceedings of the County Assembly and the evidence adduced in support of the impeachment motion. 1. Copy of approved notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor dated 16th of October 2023. 2. Order papers for the County Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 17th October, morning sitting, and Wednesday 25th October 2023, morning sitting. 3. Certified Hansard reports of the Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 17th of October 2023, morning sitting, and Wednesday 25th October 2023, morning sitting. 4. Certified Hansard reports of the Assembly sittings held on Wednesday 18th of October 2023, afternoon sitting, and Wednesday 14th June 2023, afternoon sitting. 5. Copy of certified signatures of County Assembly members in support of the impeachment motion for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County, dated 25th of October 2023. Certified copy of a roll call vote of Wednesday 25th of October 2023 on the motion for the impeachment of the Governor of Meru County. Copies of the County Assembly reports referred to during the debate on the motion for removal of the Governor of Meru County. To wit, A, report of the Select Committee on the County Budget and Appropriations on the budget estimates of the County Government of Meru for the financial year 2023-2024, dated 13th June 2023. B, report of the Sectoral Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Cohesion on the compliant by His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Meru County, to the County Assembly against his alleged exclusion from the County Executive Committee meetings and non-facilitation of his office, dated 17th of October 2023. And C, response to petition number 4 of 2023, urging the County Assembly of Meru to investigate the alleged illegal employment of traffic marshals by Her Excellency, the Governor, Meru County, and alleged illegal traffic charges by the Meru County Enforcement Department. Copy of a letter reference number DOM/1 2023, dated 24th of October 2023, by Mrs. Dunstan Omari and Associates Advocates, addressed to the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru. 9. Copies of newspaper advertisement appearing on the Standard and Daily Nation of Wednesday 18th of October 2023, and copies of invoices for radio advertisement in Mashujaa FM, calling for submission of memoranda on the notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County. 10, a HP flash disk, 2 GB, containing video annexures evidencing the particulars alleged in the motion, as well as a voice advertisement on the public participation on the motion run on Meru FM and approved notice of motion and exhibits. 11, copy of public participation report dated 25th of October 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on Wednesday 25th October 2023. 12, copies of written memoranda, both in support and against the impeachment from different sub-counties and regions, submitted to the County Assembly during the public participation exercise on the motion. And lastly, a booklet of the 3rd edition of the County Assembly of Meru Standing Orders. Now, Honorable Senators, in terms of Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33(3)(a) of the County Governments Act, and Standing Orders 81(a) of the Senate Standing Orders, the Speaker of the Senate is required within 7 days after receiving notice of the resolution from the Speaker of the County Assembly to convene a meeting of the Senate to hear charges against the Governor. Pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(a) of the Senate Standing Orders, I hereby proceed to read the charges against the Governor of Meru County as contained in the motion of impeachment by the County Assembly of Meru. Senator, kindly take a seat. Charge number 1, misappropriation and misuse of county resources. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, embezzled county funds through the Governor's relatives, 2, withdrew county funds through false claims of payment for supplies and services rendered by the Governor's relatives despite being ineligible to tender for or supply goods to the county government. 3, paid full salaries and benefits for over a year to 4 high-ranking county officials, despite their not rendering any services to the county. And 4, diverted and misused county resources, including funds and motor vehicles, to support the Governor's private charity, dubbed Okolea, despite previous promises to keep county operations and Okolea operations separate. Charge number 2, nepotism and related unethical practices. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, fraudulently represented unqualified relatives as technical team for medical equipment inspection in China. 2, employed 1, Edwin Mutuma Murangiri, a nephew to her husband, in key county positions. And 3, designated her brother-in-law, Nefat Kinyua, as Director of External Linkages without transparent and competitive recruitment. And lastly, assigned diplomatic duties with engagement with foreign diplomats and dignitaries to unqualified relatives. Charge number 3, bullying, vilification, and demeaning other leaders. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, excluded the Deputy Governor from County Executive Committee meetings and other official functions. 2, engaged in bullying and posted demeaning messages about the Deputy Governor in WhatsApp groups known as Third Government 012 and County Admin Services, whose membership includes several officers who are subordinate to the Deputy Governor. 3, encouraged and condoned insubordination and the making of insulting and demeaning public utterances by subordinate staff against the Deputy Governor and other elected leaders. 4, encouraged and condoned the removal of the Deputy Governor by junior officers from official county WhatsApp forums. Arbitrarily suspended, dismissed, withdrew, and frustrated staff of the office of the Deputy Governor. Illegally irregularly and fraudulently hounded the Deputy Governor's staff out of office by purporting to accept their non-existent resignations. Arbitrarily reduced, suspended, and withdrew budgetary facilitations for legitimate operations of the Deputy Governor's office. Threatened to inflict bodily harm against the Deputy Governor orally and in a WhatsApp chat. Forcefully broke into and ransacked the Deputy Governor's office. 10. Changed the locks to the said office. 11. Arbitrarily located the Deputy Governor's office. 12. Arbitrarily withdrew security from the Deputy Governor's residence. 13. Persistently made demeaning public utterances against other elected leaders, despite the same issue featuring prominently in previous impeachment proceedings. 14. Made insightful, insulting, and demeaning remarks against other leaders by falsely accusing them of cartelism at a presidential Thanksgiving service held in Lare, despite the issue arising in previous impeachment proceedings. And lastly, encouraged, connived, and condoned her husband's insulting and demeaning public utterances and musical performances against other elected leaders, despite the issue arising in previous impeachment proceedings. Charge number 4, illegal appointments and usurpation of statutory powers. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1. Appointed Kenneth Mwiti Riungu as chief officer without county assembly approval. 2. Sent Dr. Nitoiti, CEO of the County Revenue Board, Paul Mwaki, CEO of Liquor Board, Kenneth Kimanthi Mbaye, Managing Director of Meru Microfinance Corporation, and Joseph Kithure Mberia, CEO, Meru County Water and Sanitation Services, on indefinite compulsory leave with full salary and benefits in usurpation of powers of the appointing authorities. 3. Deployed other persons to perform the functions of those sent on compulsory leave in breach of a court order. 4. Appointed unqualified persons as acting chief officers without the requisite competitive recruitment and recommendation from the County Public Service Board. 5. Recruited traffic marshals without involving the County Public Service Board, disregarding the criteria for establishing county officers. 6. Usurped the powers of the County Public Service Board by creating traffic marshal offices. 7. Employed an excessive workforce of over 100 personnel staff in the governor's office. 8. Designated and paid various cleaners as senior support staff, despite already having 16 support staff. And lastly, appointed 4 individuals to hold county offices in an acting capacity for more than 6 months without proper authorization. Charge number 5, contempt of court. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1. Grossly violated Article 10 and 73 of the Constitution. 2. Section 7. Grossly violated Section 7 of the Leadership and Integrity Act and Section 10 of the Public Officers Ethics Act by engaging in a contemptuous, stubborn refusal to obey lawful court orders. Charge number 6, illegally naming a public road after her husband. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1. Grossly violated Articles 10 and 73 of the Constitution and Section 7 and 11(1)(c) of the Meru County Honors and Awards Act 2018 by naming a public road after her husband without following the applicable statutory procedures. Charge number 7, contempt of the Assembly. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1. Refused to honor summons from the County Assembly's Secretary Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Cohesion to answer questions related to the impeachment motion. 2. Directed her Chief of Staff to send a contemptuous letter to the Assembly in response to the summons for her to appear before the Secretary Committee. And 3. Through the CC Finance and the County Secretary refused to furnish documents to the Assembly on the grounds that an audit process was underway and that the matters raised by the Assembly were sub judice. Now, honorable senators, in terms of the way forward, following the reading of the charges against the governor, Standing Order 81B of the Senate Standing Orders, as read together with Section 33, subsection 3B of the County Governments Act, gives the Senate two options on how to proceed with the matter. The Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter, or investigate the matter in plenary. At an appointed time during this sitting, a notice of motion for the establishment of a special committee shall be given. Should this motion be carried, the special committee will be required under Section 33(4) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 82 of the Senate to investigate the matter and to report to the Senate on whether it finds the particulars of allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. In the event that the motion for the establishment of a special committee does not pass, the fallback position is that the Senate shall proceed to investigate and consider the matter in plenary. In this event, I will appoint the dates on which the Senate will sit in plenary to hear and determine the charges against the governor. Honorable senators, it is noteworthy, and I wish to emphasize to all honorable senators, that when we come to the debate on the motion for the establishment of the special committee, debate on the motion shall be limited to the substance of the motion, principally whether or not to establish a special committee. It will not be a debate on the substance of the impeachment or its merits, propriety, prudence, or even the constitutionality or the legality of the process that have been preceded the submission of this matter to the Senate. It is therefore not permissible to deviate to any matters other than the motion before the Senate. In the meantime, and during the pendency of the impeachment process in the Senate, I wish to caution honorable senators to desist from publicly commenting on the merits or demerits of the impeachment motion before the Senate. Doing so would amount to anticipation of debate, which is an infringement of Standing Order 99. Therefore, it shall be out of order within the meaning of Standing Order 122 for any senator to make comments, whether written or spoken, in relation to the conduct of the governor or the impeachment process, which is outside the confines of the impeachment proceedings, as such comments may prejudice the just outcome of the process. Now, honorable senators, this is the third impeachment hearing in the 13th Parliament, and the second one involving the governor in question. In undertaking this mandate, the Senate will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body and will conduct investigations into the alleged infractions of the Constitution and the law, and thereafter make its determination on the matter. As such, it is a reminder that the impeachment hearing is not just a procedural formality, but a fundamental process that plays a crucial role in upholding the principles of democracy and good governance. This hearing is one of the most crucial oversight tools and singular roles of the Senate. I conclude by urging honorable senators to exercise the highest level of responsibility on this particular matter. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
The Chairperson Standing Committee on Roads, Transport and Housing. Senator Karungo. Senator, I just called the Chairperson Standing Committee on Roads, Transport and Housing, Labor and Social Welfare to present a report. Are you ready with your report, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following petition report on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on a petition to the Senate by Mr. Niki Muoko Mwancha regarding the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Chiromo along Waiyaki Way in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, the petition regarding the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Chiromo, Nairobi was presented on 19th April 2023 and committed to the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation and Housing for consideration. Mr. Speaker, sir, this petition was presented by Mr. Niki Mwancha, whose prayer was that a pedestrian bridge be constructed at Chiromo area, Nairobi. In the consideration of the petition, Mr. Speaker, the committee engaged the Ministry of Roads and Transport, which committed to construct pedestrian bridges at 5 points along Waiyaki Way. Mr. Speaker, sir, whereas the Ministry of Roads and Transport was not committed on the timelines when the construction of the pedestrian bridges would commence, the committee has proposed implementation of milestone that will hasten the process of committee of budget for construction of the pedestrian bridges. The committee, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, honorable senators. Kindly take your seats and may the senator be heard in silence. Senator Gloria. Senator Omtata.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The committee has also made recommendation in this report for implementation of short-term speed control measures to ensure pedestrian safety when crossing the highway. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee did not meet the petitioner, and I underline, we did not meet the petitioner because it was difficult to reach him, because at the time of submitting the petition, he never left his email, his telephone number, or any contact, Mr. Speaker. And as such, the committee has proposed an amendment to the standing orders of the Senate to provide as a condition of admitting petitions that petitioners should provide their telephone contacts, email addresses, so as to enhance communication between the House and the petitioners, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we never called that petition a ghost petition. Despite not reaching the petitioner, we worked diligently, and the department has committed to construct 5 pedestrian crossing bridges along Waiyaki Way. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Senator Abbas. And Majority Leader, you are consulting rather loudly. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following petitions report on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, and petitions to the Senate by the Julius Warugu Wanjohi concerning the lack of implementation of the resolution to absorb contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Program by the County Government of Nyeri. Honorable Speaker, on 11th May 2023, the Senate received a petition from Julius Warugu Wanjohi concerning the lack of implementation of a resolution to absorb the contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Plan by the County Government of Nyeri. The petition was presented in the Senate on Wednesday, 24th May 2023, to the Deputy Speaker, by the Deputy Speaker, Senator Kaduri Murungi, MP, pursuant to Standing Order 223-1A of the Senate Standing Orders. Consequently, the petition stood committed to the Committee of pursuant to Standing Order 238, one of the Standing Order of the Senate Standing Order. Honorable Speaker, the issue raised in the petition was that in July 1989, the petitioner was employed by the...
Order, honorable senators. May the senator be heard in silence, please. Senator Mundigi and my deputy speaker.
The petitioner was employed by the Ministry of Education as a carpentry instructor 2 and posted to Kagodu Youth Polytechnic in Nyeri. Following the Constitution of 2010, the advent of devolution, the youth polytechnic training functions was subsequently transferred to the county government pursuant to the 4th schedule of this Constitution of 2010. As a result, all the staff who were in the counties in the 4th schedule, and performing devolved functions were deemed to continue providing services. In addition, on 2nd December 2014, a consultative meeting was held between the Ministry of Devolution and the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology and the Transition Authority to address the numerous issues that were facing the transition of youth polytechnics. The meeting resolved, among others, that the contracts of the instructors under the Economic Stimulus Plan to be extended to up to 30th June 2015, and thereafter the instructors be absorbed by the county governments on permanent and pensionable terms. The county governments were required to make budgetary provisions to pay the staff following the passage of the County Allocation Revenue Act. Further, the Transition Authority communicated the resolution to the county government for implementation, and thereby several counties implemented the resolution except the county of Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, sir, the petitioner's prayers were the Senate to look into the matter with a view of ensuring that amicable solutions into the issues raised in the petition, as well as make any other relevant recommendations in these considerations of petition. The committee thereafter proceeded to consider the petition extensively and the submission received thereon. Honorable Speaker, it is noted that the Governor of Nyeri, Honorable Mutai Kaiga, being a key respondent to the issue raised, the petition was invited and actually appeared before the committee, together with other officials from the county, where he made submissions on the issue raised in the petition. The petitioners were also present in the meeting that was held on Monday, 31st July 2023. Upon deliberation on the submission, the committee resolved that they will give 21 days for the county government to attempt to resolve the matter at the county level and report back their decision to the committee. The committee received the written response on 24th August 2023. Upon consideration of the response, the committee made various observations, recommendations, which are set in Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 of this report, respectively. Honorable Speaker, the subject matter, the committee recommended on the petition as follows. The subject matter in the petition was canvassed in court, where the suit was dismissed. The petitioners failed to follow through with the bill. Further, prior to the hearing of the case number 264 of 2017, Joseph Kitonga Washira and 41 others versus the county government and 2 others that resulted to mediation efforts being made between the parties who included the petitioners. Nyeri County Government and the Nyeri County Public Service Board had failed. The committee therefore finds that the petitioners had not exhausted the court process to address their grievances. The committee therefore finds prayers of the petitioners to the Senate not merited. However, the petitioners may consider further engaging with the Nyeri County Government and the Nyeri County Public Service Board through alternative dispute resolutions mechanism to conclusively deal with the matter. The Intergovernmental Relations, who took over the functions of the Transitional Authority Council of Governors, and the Public Service Board, National Consultative Forum, should engage with a view of determining the resolving the issues of the status of the grant instructors. A report of the resolution should be submitted to the Senate within 90 days upon the adoption of this report. The Intergovernmental Relations and the Council of Governors shall submit a report to the Senate on the employment of the status of the employees seconded to the government, the county government, on the onset of devolution. Among them is the early childhood development education, that's ECD, teachers, technical and vocational education and training teachers, community health volunteers, among others. 4, the Intergovernmental Relations should conduct an audit on the status of the transfer of functions and the 4th schedule of the Constitution and submit a report to the committee. This should highlight the status of the youth polytechnic functions, which is the main issue in the petition, hence guiding on the measures to be taken, resolve, and the other related issues. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank the officers of the Speaker, may I take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to commend the members of the committee for their devotion. I also wish to thank the office of the Speaker and the clerk for the support. Mr. Speaker, therefore, my pleasant duty, I present to Standing Order 2284 to present the report. It is therefore my pleasant duty, pursuant to Standing Order 2284A, to present the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution, Intergovernmental Relations, on its considerations, petition concerning the lack of implementation of resolution to absorb the contracted instructors under the Economic Stability Plan by the county government. I beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following petition report on the table of the Senate today, 31st of October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a petition to the Senate by Benson Nyaga Kagete concerning the recognition and remuneration of village elders under the Nyumba Kumi initiative. Mr. Speaker, the petition by Benson Nyaga was presented to the Senate on 21st June 2023, following which it was committed to the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations for consideration. Pursuant to Standing Order
Senator Karungo and team.
Pursuant to Standing Order 238.1, Mr. Speaker, the committee was required to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the major issues raised in the petition were as follows. 1, village elders play an integral role in the functioning of the national government at village level by helping chiefs and assistant chiefs in the maintenance of law and order, promoting of education and promotion of development through the Nyumba Kumi initiative. 2, these officers discharge these important roles without any remuneration by the government. Hence, they are not motivated. Number 3, there is no law regulating or guiding the observation of employment of the village elders into the existing governance structure. In particular, the National Government Coordination Act, number 1 of 2013, does not define a village as the lowest administrative unit after a sublocation. Number 5, Mr. Speaker, there is need to put in place criteria for the establishment of a village considering the population, geographical, and subcultural factors. Mr. Speaker, in light of the above, the petitioner praised that Senate amends the National Government Coordination Act No. 1 of 2013 to provide for the village as the lowest administrative unit after sublocation and establishment of a village council. 2, calls the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to develop a comprehensive policy and recruitment and remuneration of the village elders, and in particular, a policy to cover the terms of engagement, functions of the village elders, criteria for recruitment and termination of engagement. And thirdly, Mr. Speaker, make any other order that deems fit in the circumstances in the petition. Mr. Speaker, in considering the petition, the committee first met with the petitioner to better understand the issues raised in the petition and the remedies that he sought from the committee and the Senate. The committee subsequently held meetings with the Council of Governors, Mr. Joseph Kaguthi, EBS, former chairman of the Nyumba Kumi Initiative Task Force, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior, and to deliberate on and receive submissions on the petition. These are summarized, Mr. Speaker, in Chapter 2 of the report, which we have tabled today. The committee made the following observations, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude. The committee observed that there was a misconstruction of village elders and Nyumba Kumi officials by the petitioner. Whereas the village elders have been playing critical role at the local level, Nyumba Kumi officials were introduced with the introduction of the Nyumba Kumi Initiative as a model for community policing. Nyumba Kumi officials are elected from its membership and range from women, youth, and elders. There exists an adequate legal framework on the establishment of village elders in a decentralized of the county governments, the establishment of the village councils and remuneration of village elders under Section 48, 52, 53, and 54 of the County Government Act No. 17 of 2012. The committee observed that in a majority of the counties, a ward is divided into 2, 3, and 4 village units. Further, Section 52 and 53 of the County Government Act No. 17 of 2012 provide for the establishment of the office of the village administrator and village councils comprising of not less than 3 and not more than 5 village elders for the coordination and management of general administration functions in the villages. Section 53, subsection 4, Mr. Speaker, provided that the elders shall be paid allowances and shall be determined by the respective county assemblies. And that's a very important point, Mr. Speaker. And Section 41 of the National Police Service Act of 2011, which establishes the county policing authority, is yet to be erected by the counties. So far, no county has an existing county policing authority whose function is to provide a platform through which the public participates on all the aspects of relating to county policing and ensuring policing accountability to the public and receiving reports from community policing forums and committees. Mr. Speaker, the committee further observes that the National Government Coordination Act Bill, the National Government Coordination Amendment Bill, Bill number 13 of 2023, sponsored by Honorable Moses Malulu, MP, was read a first time in the National Assembly on 7th of June 2023. And the bill, Mr. Speaker, was developed to amend the National Coordination Act to recognize the village elders who performs national government functions, seek to take cognizance of existing village units and provide for establishment of village councils and appointment of village elders, as well as payment of allowances. And further proposes that village units should have village councils headed by a village administrator working with the village elders. Mr. Speaker, in light of the observations made, the committee therefore recommends as follows. 1, that the National Government Coordination Act number 1 of 2013 and the County Government Act number 17 of 2012 be reviewed and amended in order to ensure harmonization in the establishment, structure, and functions of the village elders at both the county and the national levels. Recommendation number 2, Mr. Speaker, is that in order to fully realize the gains of community policing initiatives at the county level, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration shall implement the provisions of Section 41 of the National Police Service Act, number 11A of 2011, through the establishment of the county policing authorities at the county levels and provide a status report to the Senate within 6 months from the date of this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. So order number 5, papers.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. 1, the 17th edition of the biannual report on the status of the alcohol drug abuse control in Kenya. 2, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Iten County Referral Hospital, County Government of Elgeyo Marakwet for the year ended 30th June 2022. 3, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, County Government of Nandi for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Karutu Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kiambu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kinango Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kwale for the year ended 30th June 2022. Lastly, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Karatina Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nyeri for the year ended 30th June 2023. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
The Chairperson Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. The Chairperson Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. That is the report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 15 of 2023. Briefly, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 15, of 2023.
Senator Wakili Sigei, just table.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
I beg to lay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Senate Minority Whip, Honorable Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, the 25th of October, 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawera Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares/Volume 14, Volume 4, Volume 43, dated 26th of October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, the 27th of October 2023, the Speaker of Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of a motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolved to establish a special committee comprising of the following senators. 1. Senator Dr. Boni Halwale, CBS MP. 2. Senator Jackson Mandago, EGH MP. 3. Senator Karungo Dhangwa, MP. 4. Senator Esther Okinyuri, MP. 5. Senator Ali Roba, EGH MP. 6. Senator Peris Tobiko, CBS MP. 7. Senator Enoch Wambua, CBS MP. 8. Senator Abdul Haji, MP. 9. Senator Okio Omtata, MP. 10. Senator Crystal Asige, MP. 11. Senator Shakila Abdallah, MP. To investigate the proposed removal of from office of the Governor of Meru County, and pursuant to Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment, or whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been sustained.
Now, honorable senators, at this juncture, you'll allow me to, and this is for the convenience of the House, to rearrange the sequence of today's order paper, and straight away we move to prosecute order number 9 in today's order paper. Clerk, please proceed to call that order.
Order number 9, motion, establishment of a special committee to investigate and report on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawera Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County.
Senate Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, the 25th of October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawera Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares/Volume 4/43, dated the 26th of October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, the 27th of October 2023, the Speaker of Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(b) of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(b), the Senate resolved to establish a special committee comprising of the following senators. 1. Senator Dr. Boni Halwale, CBS MP. 2. Senator Jackson Mandago, EGH MP. 3. Senator Karungu Dhangwa MP. Senator Esther Okinyuri MP. 5. Senator Ali Roba, EGH MP. Senator Peris Tobiko, CBS MP. 7. Senator Enoch Wambua, CBS MP. 8. Senator Abdul Haji MP. 9. Senator Okoiti Omtata MP. 10. Senator Crystal Asigi MP. And number 11, Senator Shakila Abdallah MP. To investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County and pursuant to Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment, and whereas on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. Mr. Speaker, while moving this motion, I want to make it quite evident that
Order, honorable senators, may the minority whip be heard in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while moving this motion, I'm cognizant of the fact that an impeachment process is a process that will determine the future of an individual. Mr. Speaker, I've sat here through various impeachment processes, some of them which have been carried out through plenary, some of them which are carried out through committees. And the reason why I strongly feel that moving this House to consider adopting a committee to investigate the allegation is because, Mr. Speaker, listening to you read the charges, Mr. Speaker, the charges are so detailed. They are so detailed that requires proper investigation. Mr. Speaker, one of the charges that I heard you note is a charge on misappropriation of funds. Mr. Speaker, having in mind Article 179 of the Constitution of Kenya, and in line of the various duties which are assigned for various officers, the framers of the Constitution envision a situation where the executive authority of the county will be vested and exercised by an executive committee which comprises not only of the governor, but the deputy governor and 10
Order,
CCs,
senators.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, noting that, when you hear the allegations that have been read by yourself, Mr. Speaker, the only way to be able to give both the people of Meru and the governor, who is now on trial at this chamber, an opportunity to be able to get justice is by allowing a committee to be able to sit down and go through all those documents. A committee, Mr. Speaker, will also get an opportunity to be able to invite the controller of budget, where the allegation of misappropriation, Mr. Speaker, so that they can be able to look at the substance of the matter. Mr. Speaker, when you...
What is the point of order, Senator Chiranke?
Mr. Speaker, I refer to your earlier ruling and direction that you give that in the debate and moving of the motion of such nature, the form, substance should not be referred at any given point. And Mr. Speaker, can you rule the mover of the motion, Senate Minority Whip, to be totally out of order by trying to engage on the form, substance, and the process, even invoking that control of budget will be invited, the documentation. I thought, Mr. Speaker, you guided Solomonically through the wisdom of Solomon by saying that it is only the procedure and the process. Could it be called out of order, Mr. Speaker, sir? Thank you.
Honorable Minority Whip, just confine your moving speech as you move this motion to the merits of having a special committee as opposed to the plenary. Just convince your colleagues
thank you, Mr.
why you feel a special committee
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
is
Speaker,
more effective compared to
Mr.
a plenary.
Speaker, the Hansard will bear me witness. I will not stand here and assume to know the merits and demerits of the charges of the impeachment. Mr. Speaker, what I referred to is solely what you read as the charges. And the only way that I'm trying to persuade my colleagues is to be able to think critically about the position that they'll be given in this House to analyze the evidence which shall be induced in this House by the Assembly as well as by the county governor who is now being accused here. Mr. Speaker, I have demonstrated clearly, and this is why I want to plead with my brother, particularly Senator from Nandi, because we have sat in these chambers together. We have looked at documents and documents. We have played some videos here. Sometimes they don't play very well. When we were impeaching other governors, if you compare apples to apples, Mr. Speaker, you will find that the only time you can be able to give justice to an impeachment process is when distinguished men and women, 9 of them, 11 of them, who have been proposed, who we are proposing today, sit down, go through the evidence so that, even though this is a political process, Mr. Speaker, you clearly indicated, and this is as per Article 125 of the Constitution of Kenya, that whenever we sit, we have the same powers as the High Court. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade this House, both sides of the divide, to consider giving these 11 distinguished senators an opportunity to go through the evidence. Mr. Speaker, I note clearly. Now, what is the point of order?
Proceed and conclude, Senator. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I note clearly that the majority side proposed the members who sat on the previous committee. There is logic there, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, because they got an opportunity to go through the evidence which were adduced by the Assembly when they were impeaching the governor. Mr. Speaker, I see wisdom there. I know, Mr. Speaker, that during the impeachment of Governor Wambora, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya had a committee of 11. And when the governor was brought back here...
Order, honorable senators. Let us make progress. Proceed, Senator Ledama. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When, Mr. Speaker, please protect me from...
Senator, you're fully protected. Can you proceed,
Mr. Speaker.
please?
Mr. Speaker, I would wish that my brother would be able to go and take the Hansard of this House, because what I'm saying is factual. When Senator Boni Halwale, and I'm very happy to see him being proposed here to sit in this committee, and trust me, Mr. Speaker, this House will decide. And the beauty of this process going through a committee is because the Senate will be given a second chance, to be able to have a bite on the cherry, Mr. Speaker. Because the moment it goes to the committee, it will also be...
Honorable senators, order. You will make those points when you're debating.
I'm solely moving.
Proceed.
And I want to convince you...
Reserve your comments to the contribution.
Mr. Speaker, the beauty of me moving is that you have the liberty of saying yes or no. You can actually be able to say, I do not support the committee
Proceed,
which will
Senator.
be the proper. So, Mr. Speaker, for me to be able to make out my case, I want to persuade senators. You represent 47 counties. You serve in committees. When you sit in these committees, most of the time you go through volumes of documents to be able to interrogate governors. If you do not take the time to be able to look at the evidence properly, you will be doing this House a disservice. Mr. Speaker, I sat on this same chair when we were removing Governor Mike Mbovisongo. And on that particular day, Mr. Speaker, the senators did not even have a chance to interrogate the governor who was being removed. The two lawyers made their cases there, and then after that, we went on camera. After going on camera, we came back in and we voted. I want to beseech these members, honorable members who are here. Well, I'm not discussing on the merits or demerits of the case. All I'm saying is that I'd like to persuade you to consider giving these 11, Mr. Speaker, can you please protect me from the back and forth shouts?
Senator
Cherargei.
You only speak through the chair, so don't engage your colleague directly.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I think we're all grown up.
Just proceed, Senator Ledama.
So, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with you that ultimately the 47 delegations will make their choice. They will decide whether to impeach, to confirm the impeachment of the governor, or whether to give the governor another second chance to continue. The only thing that I want to persuade you today is that for the history of this nation, and also for the importance of this House, whenever you point a finger, remember there is a finger which is pointing right back at you. And the impeachment process is a very painful process to go through. And it is important for us to know the consequences and also the unintended consequences. I don't really care how anyone votes. I think all of us will vote based on their own conscience. What I care is on the process of coming up to that vote. And this is why I want to persuade you that a committee will be able to give you and yourself and myself an opportunity to read a report that 11 distinguished members of this House would have already carried out an investigation on. They'll be able to tell you whether those charges have been substantiated or they have not been substantiated. Number two, Mr. Speaker, anything we do in this House goes on record. I'm very happy to propose the committee way because of two reasons, so that I can be able to request my distinguished Senator Asigi to second. When we go through the committee, it will not be sitting here and listening to two lawyers. It will be our colleagues telling us that we went through the documentation and we found A, B, C, and D. And based on this, these are our observations and these are our recommendations. That is issue number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, it will also give us an opportunity to be able to show Kenyans and the world who are watching that the Senate, even though it is not a court of law, can be able to carry out the functions. Please, let me finish, and then you can call your point of orders.
Senator Cherargei, what is your point of order? The very last point of order on this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I hope it's not the last for the day. I have several. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 105 of the Standing Orders and Standing Order 80, is it in order for Senator Ledama Olekina, the mover of motion, to mislead us and the public that when it goes to special committee, it is the only time the feedback is only through our members, yet he knows very well as a senior ranking member that when a governor appears through plenary, he or she has an option of either representing herself or himself or through legal representatives, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order to mislead the country that the only point, as per Standing 105, Mr. Speaker? No, stop pointing at me. We are not in somewhere, Mandamano, my friend. Stop pointing at me.
Senator Cherargei. Senator Fonandi. No, Senator Sifuna, it is only the chair who determines whether a point of order stands or is overruled. So you've made your point of order. Kindly take your seat.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Take your seat. Senator Ledama, proceed. That does not warrant being called a point of order. Just proceed and conclude.
Mr. Speaker, those are points of annoyance. Because, Mr. Speaker, I am not discussing the merits or demerits of the case. I'm only trying to demonstrate to my colleagues why I'm proposing the committee way. I want to plead with you to listen to me, give me an ear. Ultimately, you will make the decision. Because for me today, having been considering myself as a ranking member of this House, I've sat through maybe 4 or 5 impeachment processes. The reason why I'm suggesting to you that you should consider passing this resolution is because I have experience. Mr. Speaker, it will be upon the 47 delegations to make a decision on whichever way they want to deal with this matter. I've told you the advantages of a committee, and I've also told you the disadvantages of a plenary. The reason why I believe, and this is the point that I was trying to prosecute earlier, that a committee is which would be able to give the people of Meru and the governor justice, is because as we sit here, as per Article 125, we are sitting with the powers that we have are quasi-judicial. We have the same powers as the High Court. So when you make a decision, it is imperative and important that we become future-centric, in the sense that whatever decision we make today, when we stand here to defend whichever way, either to send the governor home or to save the governor, it is something which will go on record, and your children and your future generation will be able to look back and say, that house. Because, Mr. Speaker, I consider this house the house of union, the house of reason. This is the only house, Mr. Speaker, where a senator from Lamu, who has got maybe 120,000 people, will sit, 90,000, will sit with a senator of Nairobi, who has got about 5 million people, and each one of them will have 1 vote. That is why I say it is a house of union. We are called upon, Mr. Speaker, to oversight our counties. You know, and that is the reason why we are the court that will decide, will be able to trial. Because one thing I want to remind my colleagues is that we do not impeach a governor. The Senate does not impeach a governor. A governor is impeached at the county assembly. The only thing we do is to confirm the charges. We are sitting as judges. And that is why I'm pleading with you that for us to be able to understand this process very well, I'm pleading with you that we go the committee way, trust distinguished men and women who represent counties and who represent the Senate of the Republic of Kenya to go through the documentation, come back and tell us, colleagues, distinguished senators, this is what we have found. We do it very well. I'm one of those people who believe that sitting here, and you will see, you will go through the experience if you choose to go the plenary way. You will get bored here, you will walk out, the 2 lawyers will rant, they will say whatever they want to say, you know. And you know, Senator Cherargei, through the Speaker, as I conclude.
Order, Senator Cherargei, Senator Gloria.
As you will have an opportunity to make your case.
We are not in a soccer match where you can boo and you don't like the player.
You know,
this is the plenary. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I now understand why a former colleague said that if, let me quit it there. It is important for us to reason. And I want to plead with you, as I call my colleague, the distinguished Senator Asige, to be able to second this motion, to consider the committee way. Because today you're sitting there, tomorrow you'll be a governor. And when you are governor, you'd want to be given an opportunity to be heard and to be given an opportunity for you to be able to be asked questions and represent. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I move, I hope that wisdom will prevail, and that the distinguished senator who was told that if the president was thinking like him, will not have a country, will actually see sense in all this that I'm trying to persuade you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request none other than Senator Asigi to second.
See the Honorable Senator Crystal Asige as being member number 10 of this committee. Is it in order, looking at the precedents and the traditions of the House, to have Senator Asige be the seconder? I think there could be 60 other senators who are perfectly qualified to second, and I have no problem with Senator Asige doing it, but Mr. Speaker, it has been our tradition that we don't do it that way.
That point of order is sustained. And certainly, Senator Asige cannot be the one to second this motion.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the wisdom. Mr. Speaker,
Order, senators.
I appreciate the wisdom of my colleague, Senator Kajwang, and I love the fact that he's a stickler to the procedures, and that's all we're talking about here. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request Senator Sifuna to second.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion by the Minority Whip, Senator Ledama Olekina. And allow me to begin with the words that you used in your communication this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, that in fact, this is a fundamental process in good governance and upholding of democracy. And I remember you calling us to order, Mr. Speaker, and that we treat this particular process with the highest level of responsibility. I do not take my duties as a senator of Nairobi lightly, and especially not when it comes to the process of impeachment of a governor. Mr. Speaker, I consider myself more a debating machine than a voting machine. I don't want to allude anything on any other senator, but for me, the reason I'm in this House is first to debate before questions are put to the vote. And that those people or the colleagues who insist, Mr. Speaker, on straight up going to the vote are doing themselves a disservice, because there's a song that I like by one Emily Sunday. She says, if you can never sing your song, how are we supposed to learn it? I would want to hear my colleagues debating and convincing me why of the two options that are available to the House, Mr. Speaker, the plenary is the best. For me, I'm here to do one thing and one thing only. First of all, I want to thank this SBC, because this debate in the morning, we were asking ourselves whether we should recommend or whether we should make available both choices for the House. And in fact, in the wisdom of the chair, you ruled that this is a choice for this House, that both of those choices must be put before the members, let the debate ensue, and people convince each other as to why one is better than the other. Mr. Speaker, I also have the benefit of having been a member in the last impeachment process of Governor Kawira. That committee was very ably led by my colleague from Kakamega, Senator Khalwale. Mr. Speaker, I have come to be convinced that in fact the committee way is the best way when it comes to impeachment of governor, and I'll give the reasons as to my position. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, this is a serious matter, not just for the governor herself, but also for the people of Meru. As a firm believer in devolution myself, I want counties to work. We fight every day here to get extra resources for these counties, for them to be able to work. Nobody is happy when we have dysfunctional county governments. But, Mr. Speaker, also the threshold for removal of a governor has been set in the law. It is the responsibility of this House, Mr. Speaker, to find out whether on the facts and the evidence that threshold has been made. And in my submission, Mr. Speaker, it is close to impossible in an interrogation such as the one that happens in plenary to establish the facts and the law of the allegations and whether that threshold has been met. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I believe that that responsibility of oversight of counties, and especially of impeachment of governors, is placed on the entire House, all the 67 of us. I do not see why, for instance, anyone would want to strip themselves of a role in this process by refusing the committee way. Because, Mr. Speaker, one unique thing about the committee way is the only opportunity that our nominated colleagues get an opportunity to have a say in a matter as important as the impeachment of a governor. If you do not go the committee way, Mr. Speaker, as you know, when it comes to voting...
Order, Senator Gloria. Proceed, Senator Sifuna.
When it comes to voting, Mr. Speaker, only the heads of delegations at the plenary will get to vote. This is a matter that it should be common knowledge to anybody sitting in this House, unless you don't know where you are. Mr. Speaker, the point that I was making is this. If we want to interrogate the evidence, to sift the noise, because there's been a lot of noise in social media and on the mainstream media about what is happening in Meru, I would beg this House not to join the cacophony of noise just for the sake of joining. That we do a proper analysis of the evidence, we do a proper analysis of the facts, and reach a determination that will be in the best interest of the people of Meru. I have never experienced a plenary, but those of us, our colleagues who have been there, have advised that some of the privileges, like for instance, when we were sitting in the last committee, and Mr. Speaker, I honestly would wish that you bring Senator Cherargei to order, because he's in the habit of shouting at people when they're talking here. If he has a point of order, let him raise it in the manner
Senator Cherargei, I'm giving you the final warning for the day. If you have anything, you speak through the chair. Don't engage your colleagues directly. Senator Kathuri, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the move on the second of this motion has severally mentioned Meru County, that they know what is best for Meru County. If there is anyone who knows what is best for Meru County, is none other than Kaduri Murungi. I wish they had consulted me, because they are advocating Meru issues in a very different manner. So when you are either moving or seconding, give your reasons without mentioning the great Meru County, tafadhali. I beg.
Senator Kathuri, that point of order is overruled. The role of the Senate is to offer oversight to all counties, including Meru. The motion that they're moving, is the subject matter of this motion, is Meru. You cannot make any contribution without mentioning Meru. So, Senator Sifuna, kindly proceed to...
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that protection. And by the time the matter is brought to us, it is an indication of a failure of leadership in the county of Meru. So we are here to deal with your problems you should have sorted out at home. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that is the work of the Senate. It's a constitutional mandate of the Senate.
Senator Sifuna, I will not allow you to start throwing jabs. Proceed to conclude.
I conclude, Mr. Speaker, although the jab has already landed, I can see it's working, to withdraw the jab. Mr. Speaker, I want to beg this House that in fact, let us go the route of a committee that will enable us to be able to interrogate the facts, to interview witnesses. Senator Khalwale will bear me witness that the last time we were in this committee, similar committee, Mr. Speaker, the witnesses would take oath there, and you would subject them to cross-examination. And the people who have experience with the plenary, Senator Ledama, unless he was misleading me, has told me of a different story when it comes to plenary. You will not be able to do the sort of cross-examination that you would get opportunity to do in committee. And Mr. Speaker, if indeed we are going to follow your words of exercising the highest level of responsibility in this particular matter, knowing what is at stake. And by the way, we never pretend to know what is best for the people of Meru. We said we must undertake our function, our constitutional function, in a manner that is in the best interest of the people of Meru. That is not to pretend that we know better or more than those who come from there. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to second this motion and hope that our colleagues will adopt the same and proceed in that particular fashion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, kindly take your seats. Senator Omtata, unaleta matata. Tafadhali kaa. Senator Karen. Senator Shakila, kindly take your seat. So, honorable senators, I will now proceed to propose the question. Whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Senator Karen, order. Senator Cherengei. If I'm to throw out Senator Cherengei, you may have to follow behind. So, honorable senators, allow me to propose the question that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares Volume 4/43, dated 26th October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, 27th of October 2023, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising the following senators: Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale, Senator Jackson Mandago, Senator Karungo Thangwa, Senator Esther Okenyuri, Senator Ali Roba, Senator Peris Tobiko, Senator Enoch Wambua, Senator Abdul Haji, Senator Okoit Omtata, Senator Crystal Asige, and Senator Shakila Abdallah to investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County and pursuant to Standing Order 82 to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been substantiated. Now, honorable senators, we will proceed to call any interested senator to make their contribution on this motion. What is the point of order, Majority Leader?
Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 111.1 on limitation of debate. This is a simple procedure which we need to agree whether to proceed by way of committee or by way of plenary. Mr. Speaker, I propose that within 3 minutes you will have convinced the House to either agree or disagree with you. Therefore, if that finds favor with my colleagues, we can limit that so that as many colleagues as possible can speak on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I invite Senator Karen Nyamu to second.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Now, honorable senators, we need not really debate the motion. We can strike a consensus that we each speak for 3 minutes. If that is the consensus, can we therefore proceed in that manner? Yes. 3 minutes it is. Senator Murango James Kamau.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika kwa kunipa hii nafasi. Ya kwanza nimesimama hapa kimasomaso mchana peupe kupinga mswanda ulioletwa na kiranja walio wachache katika bunge hili. Kwanza mstahiki Spika, nadhani sisi sio kama jongoo, kwa hivyo tuna vichwa vyetu tunafaa kufikiria. Niseme ya kwamba kawaida ambayo imekuwa sasa nikawaandika katika bunge hili la Seneti ni kwamba wakati mswada umeletwa sana sana ambao unafaa kuungwa mkono na pande zote mbili, anayeleta ule mswada anakuwa kiongozi wa wengi, na sana sana naona akiita kiongozi walio wachache kuunga mkono ule mswada. Mstahiki Speaker, mswada wa leo umeletwa na kiranja walio wachache na kuungwa mkono na aliyetoka upande wa wachache. Hiyo ni kusema kuna azimio fiche katika tendo hili. Kwa hivyo Mstahiki Speaker, mimi nimesimama hapa niseme ya kwamba sisi wengi ambao ni vijana katika bunge hili la Seneti pia tunafaa kupewa nafasi ya kusikiza, kunusa, kuonja na kusoma katika mswada ambao unaletwa katika bunge hili. Mstahiki Speaker, Mstahiki Speaker, niseme ya kwamba ukiangalia katika orodha ya wale watu wamewekwa pale, katika upande walio wengi ni wale watu ambao walikuweko wakati ule ambao gavana wa Meru waliletwa katika jumba hili la Seneti. Na kwa hivyo tunataka kusema ya kwamba hiyo inanyima nafasi maseneta wengi vijana kutoka pande hii walio wengi, na kwa hivyo ningeunga mkono kwamba tuletewe mswada kwa walio wengi. Mstahiki Speaker, sitaki kukumbaliana kwa kusema ya kwamba wakati gavana atakuja katika bunge hili hataweza kusikizwa kwa njia inayofaa. Ukienda katika bunge la Wandi la Gatuzi la Meru, wote wakilishi wadi 29 walisikiza na wakapitisha, 59 walisikiza na wakapitisha. Hiyo ni kusema sisi hatujafika hata hiyo, hatujafika 69, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba ya kwamba upande walio wengi tusifuate mkondo kama samaki aliyekufa, tuweze kufikiria, tuletewe mswada katika bunge la Seneti, sisi wote tuweze kusikiza, kuchangia na kufanya maamuzi mbele ya kila mtu akiona Kenya nzima ikitazama. Asante sana Mstahiki Speaker. Napinga.
Senator Asotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also raise my voice on this matter. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time this House is debating this particular motion. You remember we had a similar motion on the matter involving the impeachment of the Meru governor. We had a similar motion on the matter involving the deputy governor of Siaya. And this House, nearly 90% of the members supported the idea of the committee. And everyone who stood up gave very good and valid reason why we need to go the committee way. Sitting here and listening to the senator for Kirinyaga, I wonder what has changed, Mr. Speaker. Because we all said, and the answer is there, is the evidence, that we all said that for us to do a neat job, we will need to go the committee way and not the plenary way. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to support the mover, Senator Olekina, that I plead with you members, let us go the committee way so that we can do a clean job, so that we can give the people of Meru the justice they're looking for. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we need to continue with this, the image that we have acquired as a Senate, that we are a responsible House that looks at issues critically before making a decision. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to have a situation where we'll come here, convert this House into a lynching house without looking at the issues very critically. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to your communication, Mr. Speaker. The last paragraph, Mr. Speaker, you have clearly stated that the principles and ideals of the Constitution must be adhered to in this impeachment process. Mr. Speaker, I fear that when we go the plenary way, we may not adhere to the principles of the Constitution, particularly on the issue of fair administrative action, because the governor would require all the rights that that are provided for in the Constitution, so that she can.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I have three quick things to say. But let me be clear from the onset that first, I rise to oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose for three simple reasons. Number one, as a leader in this House, I must learn to keep and honor my word. When I moved the motion in December last year to set up the committee, I was quite clear and still hold the same position this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, that there is no method that is better than the other. Anybody trying to peddle that kind of argument, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, is misleading the House. I say that as a ranking member. I have participated in both plenary and committee impeachment hearings. And I can tell you without a doubt, Mr. Speaker, that both processes are fair, they are sound, they have a good legal basis, and they deliver the best result for the specific county that is before the House. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, when I moved that afternoon, I promised the House that at the next time we get such an opportunity, it will be my proposal that we go the plenary way. And therefore, this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, I want to propose that the House goes the plenary way so that we listen, all of us, sit here calmly and understand what is the issue with Meru. Second thing, Mr. Speaker, is that we need a cleanup of our laws. Perhaps members are wondering, how is it that we found ourselves in this situation? We found ourselves in this situation where this motion is being moved because, unfortunately, under our own standing orders, standing order number 80 and section 33 of the County Governments Act, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, there is no procedure of directly going to committee. You must first, going to plenary, you must first reject a committee and then you find yourself in the plenary way. It is my proposal and submission before this House, Mr. Speaker, that at the end of this process, we must move a cleanup of our standing orders and that law so that we can provide it in a fair and a cleaner way so that the House makes a decision. Just like, finally, Mr. Speaker, the decision of the committee, unfortunately, if they choose to absolve the governors of the blame, that is the end of that particular process. That is something that we must review, Mr. Speaker, eventually when you are done with this process, so that the House can have a footing and a final say on such matters from start to finish, so that eventually all the 47 delegations of this House gather and make a decision. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with our colleagues, even if you're pursuing a particular interest, don't be unfair on the House. Don't cast aspersions to the House and believe that for whatever reason, members will suddenly not reason that the only way you can concentrate is if you're reduced from being 67 to only 11 of you. I don't think that is fair to the House. The same way I will sit at a...
Senator Haji mwenye Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa ya kuchangia mswada huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kubanduliwa mamlakani kwa gavana kwa kupitia njia ya impeachment ni jambo muhimu sana na jambo ambalo linatoa matatizo makubwa kwa yule ambaye anabanduliwa, kwa sababu ukibanduliwa mamlakani ina maana kwamba huwezi kukaa katika ofisi ya umma kwa kazi yoyote ile ambayo utakuwa una nia ya kuifanya. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima tumpe yule mhusika nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kujitetea kutokana na mashtaka ambayo yanamkabili. Mheshimiwa Spika, njia ya kamati ni njia mwafaka kabisa ambayo inampa mhusika nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kujitetea na kusikiza yale mashtaka ambayo yataletwa mbele yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa Seneti nzima, yani kupitia kwa hadhara, yani plenary, ina nafasi sawa na kamati, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini tumeona katika historia ya impeachment ya Mheshimiwa Sonko, Mheshimiwa Waititu, hawakupata fursa nzuri ya kujieleza, kwa sababu kazi yenyewe ni nyingi na inatakana ifanyike kwa muda wa siku 2. Mheshimiwa Spika, wiki iliyokwisha hapa tulikuja, mawaziri wawili walirudi bila kupatikana kwa kuwa tulikuwa hatuna quorum katika bunge hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukikaa hapa siku ambayo itakayotakana kukaa, na tunajua mara nyingi asubuhi wa maseneta huchelewa kufika katika bunge hili. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni aibu kwamba nafasi ya kusikiza kesi inaendelea, wale ambao wataamua kesi hawako mahakamani, lakini kesi inaendelea kusikizwa bila ya wale watakaoamua kuwako mahakama hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naona njia mwafaka ni kuwa na kamati, na kamati ile ni maseneta wote, wale ambao watachaguliwa ni maseneta kama maseneta wengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii kadhia ya kuweza kubandikia kamati masuala ambayo hayakuweza, kwa mfano tuhuma za kupokea hongo ama tuhuma za kufanya kazi bila ya kuwa sawasawa, Mheshimiwa Spika, haifai. Kwa sababu seneta yeyote ambaye anahudumu katika kamati ni seneta kama seneta mwingine, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kamati zote zinapokaa ni kamati za bunge la Senate. Kwa hivyo kadhia zote ambazo ni za kuhakikisha kwamba kuna haki na usawa zinafanyika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema kwamba nafasi ya kamati itakuwa ni ndio njia bora kabisa ya kuweza kusikiza madai ambayo yamependekezwa na bunge la kaunti ya Meru, na hiyo itawapa fursa watu wote wabunge wa bunge la kaunti ya Meru na Governor Kawira Mwangaza watapewa nafasi sawa ya kuweza kusikiza kesi ile na kutoa uamuzi ambao utasaidia kuleta haki na usawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kuwa kama bunge hapa.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, mimi nakataa kuundwa kwa maseneta 11 ya kusunguza mambo ya Senator Kawira, mambo ya Meru, kwa governor wa Meru, kwa sababu mnakumbuka wakati ule mwingine tulikuwa hapa na tukachagua Senator 11, na wakati walikuwa naangalia hiyo tukawa tumemrudisha na pia tukampatia onyo kali sana. Vile nataka kusema wale MCA 59.
Senator Mundigi, hoja nidhamu yako ni gani, Senator Faki?
Senator wa Embu amesema zungusa. Sasa sijui ni kuzungumza ama ni kuzungusha.
That point of order is overruled. Just proceed, Senator Mundigi.
Senator wa Mombasa, masikio yako haisikii vizuri. Mimi umekula miraa na dawa ya kulevya. Sasa nyamaza. Tuweze kuzungumza kusaidia watu wa Meru. MCA 59 walikubaliana mambo ya kutimua governor kwa sababu ya kushindwa na kazi yake. Either governor ni mama ama ni mwanaume, mpaka tuangalie vile.
Senator Mundigi, kadri unavyochangia katika hoja hii, tafadhali na kusihi utie manani ile tahadhari ambayo nimepeana kabla hatujaanza mdahalo huu. Hatuzungumzi ukweli, uzito, usawa ama uchache wa ile kesi. Tunazungumzia mjadala ambao uko mbele yetu kwa sasa ni aidha kama Senate tuchague kamati ndio ifanye uchunguzi ama Senate mzima ifanye uchunguzi. Kwa hivyo tafadhali usiende nje ya mada hiyo.
Naomba msamaha, ni uchungu ambaye nilio nayo kwa watu wa Meru, kwa sababu Bwana Spika, unakumbuka Embu tumeteseka kwa kipindi ya miaka 10. Na kama watu wa Meru wanasikia vile tulikuwa sikia, wanaona kwa sababu alikuwa jirani, mimi naunga mkono tuwe maseneta 67, tuangalie vile itawezekana. Kwa sababu tunajua wakati county 47 ni mambo ya kuangalia vile kuko. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono na kataa mambo ya hawa, tuweze kuwa sisi wote tuangalie itakuanji. Kwa sababu kama watu wataka kulipisha, sioni ni vizuri, kwa sababu wakati mambo mengine yafanyika hapa ni kwa sababu tulirudisha deputy ambaye ni wa Kisumu. Sasa leo hatuwezi kumbali yote mnasema mpaka tuende Senator 67.
What is the point of order, Senator Kenya?
Bwana Spika, nilimsikiza Mheshimiwa Mundigi akisema kusingizia kwamba senator kutoka Mombasa anaweza kuwa anatumia madawa ya kulevya. Hakumsikiza Bwana Spika. Ningependa ya kwamba alisema namna hiyo Bwana Spika. Alisema
Senator Mundigi, just sit down.
Bwana Spika, nuku zetu Bwana Spika.
Order senators.
Alisema Bwana Spika, nuku zetu ningependa ziondolewe kwa sababu Senator Faki ni senator wa nyumba hii, na kusema ya kwamba anaweza kutumia madawa ya kulevya si vizuri Bwana Spika.
Senator Mundigi, ikiwa ni kweli ulizungumza matamshi hayo kwamba senator wa Mombasa, Senator Faki anatumia madawa ya kulevya, itabidi usimame utoe katika nakala maneno hayo na tena uombe msamaha ndo uendelee kumaliza.
Naomba msamaha kwa rafiki wangu Senator wa Mombasa. Labda Senator akusikie vizuri, si kusema mambo kama hayo, kwa hivyo kama nimeongea nimeomba msamaha.
Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this proposal actually by the minority whip. And I only have two things to say today, Mr. Speaker. The first thing is that, Mr. Speaker, anytime this kind of business come to this house, it is an opportunity for us as a house to rise above the politics of the day and give this house the status that it deserves. Indeed, as the majority leader had said, there is no any bad way or any better way between the two ways. But I think that there was wisdom as to why they were actually put that you can either consider two options. And for me, it is circumstantial. It's circumstantial to the extent that, Mr. Speaker, the first thing that we must consider is the sanctity of this house. And why I'm saying sanctity is that we don't want to take a process that can leave us to litigation in whichever way possible. And, Mr. Speaker, we have had a house that we have these. Mr. Speaker, you must control Cherargei. He keeps on making a lot of noise.
Senator Eddie, would you wish to be informed by Senator Fernandez?
Cherargei is the most uninformed person in this house.
Would you wish to be informed? It's either yes or no.
I wouldn't wish to be informed by Senator Cherargei. So, Mr. Speaker, I want us to be cautious that we do not put ourselves in a situation whereby we are going to have litigations after this particular process. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the weight of this matter is exemplified by the fact that this particular county is bringing this issue for the second time in this house. I think that if that be so, then it behooves this house to make sure that there is absolute examination of every single issue raised in this particular impeachment. And, Mr. Speaker, we can't ignore the fact that if we do not take our time to examine as thorough as a committee will do, then we will do a disservice to the people of Meru. I agree with the majority that both ways work, but the examination and justice that is needed will happen best when people are committed to examining those issues that have been raised. With that, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to oppose the motion to
to constitute a committee to hear the matter before the House regarding the governor, removal of the governor of Meru County. And for these reasons, Mr. Speaker. One, Mr. Speaker, this is the second time this governor is being brought for impeachment to this House. Mr. Speaker, the first time the governor was brought here, we appointed a committee. Mr. Speaker, they say only a fool does something the same way and expect different results. And Mr. Speaker, because for the first time we followed the committee way and this is the same governor, I think, Mr. Speaker, it would only be fair that this time round we try a plenary, Mr. Speaker. Number two, still on the same, Mr. Speaker, that this is the second impeachment happening in the same, within 1 year, Mr. Speaker. And I pray that you may protect me.
What is your point of order, Senator Edwin?
Please freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I raise understanding order number 105 on imputing improper motive, Mr. Speaker. The senator of Murang'a has just said that when this matter first appeared before us in this House, we tried a committee. And therefore, it's a justification enough for us to go the plenary way. Is he imputing that the committee that did the work in the previous matter did not do the right job? Is that what he's implying? And even use the word like stupid in terms of the processes, Mr. Speaker, and fools, Mr. Speaker. Is he suggesting that the committee that was anointed by this House and given that task to do the other time was not proper? And does he want a different outcome because that committee did not do a right job?
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wouldn't have wanted to spend most of my time responding to standing orders. But Mr. Speaker, I did not say, and I think it's very important for members to listen keenly. I said, they say, they are adages, Senator, through the Speaker, only a fool does the same thing every time and expect different results. That is not me that said that, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to respond. But Mr. Speaker, I know he wants to distract me. So, Mr. Speaker, kindly allow me to proceed with my contribution.
Order, Senators. Order, Senators. Order, Senators. Can you conclude your contribution?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just about to say before the rude interruption from the Senator from Migori that, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that this governor is being impeached for the second time. The County Assembly of Meru is like doing an appeal, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, I have a right to be heard, Senator, and then they will raise their points, Mr. Speaker. So,
take your seat,
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Newton, take your seat. And freeze his time, please. What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, I believe that this would fall under the ambit of anticipating debate, because what our colleague, the senator, is saying is that there is a desired result, and that in fact, if you go the same way, you will get the same result as last time, and that result was not desirable. What we are saying to him, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with your guidance, nobody should anticipate what result would arise from what process. That is what you guided us to do. So he should refrain in his debate from suggesting that somehow, and by the way, Mr. Speaker, there is no such thing as a second impeachment acting as an appeal. No. I believe, I have not read the facts and the allegations, that they are based on new facts and new allegations, and that they are being treated as a new case to be examined objectively on the basis of the facts and the evidence. So he is out of order, Mr. Speaker, and I would wish that you would rule on that particular objection.
Senator Newton, the motion before us is a motion to have a special committee investigate this matter. From the onset, if I heard you correctly, you're opposed to it and you favor the plenary. Convince your colleagues why the plenary is the best way to go without necessarily going the route that Senator for Nairobi has just cautioned.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. I was just about to say, but you have advised me to avoid going that route. But I was just going to say that the second reason that I oppose this particular motion is because we have from our side the same members that had this, that did the first impeachment proceedings in this House, Mr. Speaker. And so that was my second reason. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to my colleagues saying that the committee way will be able to investigate the matter in a better way than the plenary way, Mr. Speaker. And my submission is that, Mr. Speaker, from what I know, 2 heads are better than 1. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not convinced that when members are fewer, they'll be able to do a job.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, I believe we have moved, or rather we had 2 impeachment since inception of this particular House. And I think in the last 2 impeachment, we have gone committee way. So it's important also for the members who are new to really understand how the process of plenary goes. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, it is only fair for the members of public also to understand how impeachment is carried in the Senate in a plenary. Because when we go committee way, it's the committee to sit, deliberate, and it is brought to the House whether the charges are sustained or otherwise. Mr. Speaker, I think according to me, the best way to go for the purpose of transparency in the public glaring, that plenary is the best way to go so that members of public can follow the debate and see where the problems are. Personally, I support plenary, and that will be fair to the county assembly, to the people of Meru, to the person who is impeached. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think, according to me, and I believe having sat in plenary and also committee in the last 2 Senates, the best way to go is plenary. I oppose the motion. I thank you.
Senator Wafula.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa wakati huu kuchangia. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati gavana huyu alikuwa hapa kujitetea alipoletwa hapa na kaunti yake husika, gavana huyu aliponea chupu na utetezi wake ulifanywa katika kikao ambacho hatukuwepo, lakini kwa sababu ya uamuzi wa jumla, uamuzi wa seneti kwamba waliokubaliana nayo pia si tukubali, tukakubali shingo upande. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wa kaunti hii wana mambo ambayo wangependa kusikia yakitajwa, yakijadiliwa, yakizungumziwa peupe mchana. Watu wa kaunti hii wanataka kujua rafiki yao ni nani, asiyekuwa rafiki yao ni nani. Watu wa kaunti hii wanataka kujua seneti inajua yanayoendelea katika kaunti yao ama hapana. Watu wa kaunti hii wanajua kwamba katika majadiliano ya watu wachache kuna mazungumzo ya chini kwa chini ambayo hao hawahusiki. Leo wana nafasi kusikia wazi wale wanaoitwa madaktari, wanaoitwa maprofesa, wale ambao ni walimu, wadhihirishe uwezo wao wazi mchana kadamnasi ya umma. Ni wapi ama ni shinikizo zipi zinahakikisha kwamba wanapata haki ama wanapata nafasi ya kujieleza, kwa sababu Senate ni jumba la kutetea ugatuzi. Iwapo viongozi kama MCAs wamekata kauli kwamba lazima Pilato awape nafasi wasulubishe Barnaba ama wasulubishe Yesu, sisi ni nani, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuje hapa tuchukue nafasi yao kana kwamba hawana akili, si watu timamu kuamua hatima yao. Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senator Fuller, you are out of order to the extent of that particular statement.
Naomba msamaha, naomba kuondoa. Lakini kabla sijakaa, Mheshimiwa Speaker, watu kwetu usema fisi aliambia jiwe, japo umenyamaza lakini umesikia. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senator Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker. First of all, I'm not too sure why Senator Kajwang would have wanted to block me from supporting my whip. However, he is very well aware that I am a musician, and an award-winning musician at that, and my voice will be heard one way or the other. Mr. Speaker, please do. I will sing, but I will sing on Friday 3rd at Orchid Lounge for all of us. So please come. That's where you'll find me singing this week. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. And I've heard arguments about promises that have been made in the first impeachment motion, and now they want to be fulfilled here. But, Mr. Speaker, I will remind the House that this is not the second motion, this is the third. If a promise was supposed to have been fulfilled, it should have been done so in the impeachment of the DG of CIA. That has now come and gone, so for me that does not hold. Second, it's also been argued that the same members from the majority side are being recycled in this committee. However, Mr. Speaker, to me, that sounds like an internal wrangle, an internal communication and conversation that should have been had with senators from the majority side, with their leader, and not something that should be brought to this House as part of the debate, because Mr. Speaker, Meru does not want to know who is being recycled or not. Meru does not want, the governor does not want to know, and neither do we, Mr. Speaker. I think that is something that should have been lobbied and persuaded internally for the majority side. Mr. Speaker, I also believe that committee is the correct way to go, because interrogations will be had, and and the evidence, thank you, will be combed through in a much more succinct way than if we are sitting here throwing mud at each other, slinging at each other in terms of our debates, and then, of course, wasting the precious time of this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I just want to reiterate the importance of giving somebody, in this case, the governor of Meru, a fair hearing, and that will be done if, in my opinion, 11 people sit down, put their heads down, and focus on the evidence and interrogate this matter to its conclusion. And thereafter, the House will have an opportunity to vote either for or against whatever the committee decides. Mr. Speaker, I want to again reiterate that I support the motion, and I thank Senator Kajwang for giving me, even though not in the first instance, this instance to do so.
Senator Mutenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise as a delegation of Meru to completely oppose this motion. One, Mr. Speaker, I want to state that as a new member in this House, it gives us an experience on matters plenary, because as Emel had promised last time, this was the way to go, so that even as a House, we can have the plenary experience. Further to that, Mr. Speaker, I have noticed that even in this motion contribution, I am the third female senator to contribute in this motion. This being a female governor, we want plenary because we want an opportunity to be able to have a feel as women senators, to be able to understand, is it leadership issues, is it other issues in this county? That is why we want plenary, so that all the voices of all the women in this House can be heard, so that we can be able to make the right decision for the great people of Meru County. You look at the list for the committee, the 11 committee members that have been put. I've had, if my mind serves me correctly, I think I've had only 3 female senators, We want a bigger voice as women so that our voices are completely heard on the contribution that we are going to make. When the people elected the Honorable Governor, it was not about not knowing that she was a female. We want as female to be respected. So we want our voices to be fully heard. They can only be heard completely through plenary in this house. So I continue rising and supporting that we go the plenary way so that completely we execute the issues of Meru extensively, massively, for the benefit of the people of Meru. The governor has been impeached again. It saddens me because we were in the first line with Senator Gloria supporting and being happy that the governor has survived. Now again, it has come back. As on this particular platform, we try the plenary way so that we get now to understand the real issues. Also as leaders, as women, to understand the deeper issues. The only answer is on plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kavindu.
Asante Bwana Speaker kwa kunipa hii fursa niweze kusupport hii motion ya kwamba hii impeachment ipelekwe kwa committee. Na Bwana Speaker, nimesikia wengi wakisema ya kwamba hii impeachment motion ikipelekwa kwa committee haitapata haki. Hii inamaanisha kwamba zile petitions zote na statements na motions zinaletwa hapa na zinapelekwa kwa committee hazipati haki. Hazipati haki kabisa. Zinapata haki, ninaamini zinapata haki, na kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, nina support hii motion ipelekwe kwa committee ili watu wa Meru waweze kupata haki yao, na pia Governor Kawira aweze kupata haki yake na wawe na wakati wa kuwasikiliza vizuri. Bwana Speaker, nimekaa kwa committee ya impeachment mara mbili. Hii ya Kawira imekwisha na ingine ilikuwa ya Western, ilikuwa ya Northeastern. Bwana Speaker, pale kuna wakati mwema sana wa watu kusikilizwa. Kama ni governor asikilizwe, kama ni malalamishi ya MCAs na watu wa Meru pia wasikilizwe vizuri kwa makini. Na kwenda kwa committee haimaanishi ya kwamba watu wa media hawezi kuja pale, watu wa Meru wakaweza kufuata kabisa kile kinatendeka kwa committee. Mimi niko kwa committee ile ya Bomb Blast 1998 na kila wakati munaona kwa media. Kwa maana tunaita watu wa media pale kuja, itakuwa wazi hata kwa committee. Nina support iende kwa committee. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Wamatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise from the onset to oppose. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am quite perturbed by the mathematics that have been done in this House. I thought, Mr. Speaker, sir, that a bigger number will give us a wider base of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, sir, 11 members cannot and will never possess the knowledge that the 67 members in this House must have. As has been mentioned by my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I do not want to repeat that this is the second time that the governor will be coming here, and therefore it is very important that the whole nation, indeed, and specifically women in this country, get to follow the issues so that it will never be blamed on the Senate that it was a gendered issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the only opportunity that we have is to open up for everybody, for all the 67, including our colleagues, the women, so that it will be said that the Senate did justice to the people of Kenya, to the people of Meru, and most importantly, to our daughters who are also aspiring in the future to become leaders. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I hear the names of the 11 members, I must admit that we do not have two sets of brains. That one you leave when you're going to the committee and the other one that you take when you're going to the plenary. Mr. Speaker, we use the same brains. Whether we are 11 here in the House or we are the whole House. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important. This is an emotive issue and we must consider the weight it carries by going the plenary way so that the whole Republic of Kenya will know that indeed this superior house has the composition to deliver justice not only to Kenyans but of of course, to the future generations. And I want also to be very future-centric. We need to give the confidence of all our daughters who aspire to become readers that indeed the House of Senate can deliver justice by opening this so that it will be discussed in clear daylight for everybody to take home. Mr. Speaker, I oppose.
Senator Maruma.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support the motion by Senator Ledama Olekina. Firstly, I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that both ways, plenary way and committee way, are provided for in the standing orders. However, Mr. Speaker, one of them is better than another in terms of how we approach the proceedings. Mr. Speaker, when you go the committee way, we have an opportunity to have an in-depth understanding of the cases because we interrogate the documents better when we are fewer, Mr. Speaker. We had opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to go through the same petition of Kawira Mwangaza, Honorable, when we were led by Senator Boni Khalwale, Dr. Boni Khalwale. And I think the work that was done in that committee was a sterling job. We looked at the documents very soberly, and we came up with a finding that the allegations were not substantiated. When you went the committee way in the case of Deputy Governor for Siaya, again the committee that was there looked at the documents, and there were some allegations that were substantiated. But again, there was opportunity when you came to plenary again to overturn the findings of the committee, and Honorable Odol was let off the hook. So, Mr. Speaker, I think both ways are okay because they're allowed in the standing orders, but it's better when you use a committee because then we can interrogate the issues much better to have a close understanding and a better understanding of the issues. Mr. Speaker, when I saw the list from the majority side, I knew we were set. It was a poison chalice because the same members who had participated in the other petition for Kawira Mwangaza were the same people who were put in the committees. So I knew they were set so that they can be disenchanted, so that they can be disenfranchised and vote against the committee way. So I think, Mr. Speaker, I would be waiting for the vote, but most likely if we go the committee way, then you can give the people of Meru the justice that they require, Mr. Speaker. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me use the word of Senator Maruma. Thank you very much for noticing the issue of the 6 members. And Senator Ledama should have known this. And I think we don't need to waste a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, Article 181 is very clear. It talks about impeachment of a governor. Standing Order 80B1 talks about special committee. B2 talks about the plenary. Mr. Speaker, 7 governors were impeached since 2013, starting from Governor Wambora, Governor Chepkwony, Waititu, Anne Waiguru, Mike Sonko, Mohammed Abdi from Wajir. This is to notify Senator for Machakos. We don't have a county called Northeastern. We have a county called Wajir. That is where Mohammed Abdi comes from, was impeached. And the latest governor to be impeached now is Senator Kawira Mwangaza from Meru. And also, we had an opportunity to have our guest here, Deputy Governor, Dr. William Odwol. William Odwol went through 11-member, Martin Wambora, 11-member committee, Chepkwony, 11-member committee, Anne Waiguru went through 11-member committee, and also Mohammed Abdi went through 11-member committee. And the latest one, the previous Governor Kawira went through 11-member. And Waititu went through plenary. And also Governor Mike Sonko, Sonko's impeachment went through plenary. Mr. Speaker, these methods are all okay. And I don't want to say I will support it or oppose it. But I would want to ask our brothers on the other side, let us not argue on this. Let's go plenary way, because it's an experience for some of us also to learn this process for new members like me and others, and those members who didn't go through this process. I will request kindly, let's follow this process and have plenary way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajong.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise to comment on this motion, the leadership of this House, and those are the gentlemen and women we have put in the Senate Business Committee, should spare us this agony that we are going through. Mr. Speaker, this debate has not helped to educate anybody. It has only helped to expose the bias amongst the judges sitting in this House. Senators will be sitting as judges, and the bias is clear. Everyone who stands on my side supports, everyone who stands on the other side opposes, and yet we have not even heard the case. We have only read the charges. Mr. Speaker, in future, I want to encourage the SBC, because that is where the numbers are balanced, and we've got our leaders that we trust and the leaders that we have entrusted with a mandate to bring us a formula that will not be subjected to debate. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the leader of majority referred to standing order number 80.
What is the point of order, Senator Ledama?
Mike. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise on standing order number 80, which is the standing order that we are prosecuting. And I would not wish to disrupt my colleague and brother, who I respect quite a lot. But is the distinguished senator from Homa Bay in order to suggest that the House Business Committee can make a decision which is clearly stipulated on how that decision should be made in our standing order? Mr. Speaker, this House, the House Business Committee, deals with the calendar of the House. Matters are resolved. In fact, when you read, Mr. Speaker, you clearly indicated that this is a decision, a resolution of the Senate. The House Business Committee is not the Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to persuade my brother to look at the standing order and not point aspersion on the House business, but call upon the entire House to amend the law as well as amend the standing orders so that a formula can be brought which will not solicit the debate that people will need to decide that people have already made up their mind. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like you to find my dear brother out of order.
Senator Kajwang, the decision as to whether to go the committee way or the plenary is a decision to be made by the House. The SBC can only facilitate a member wishing to bring a motion on the committee. In this regard, the SBC facilitated the tabling of the motion by the Senator for Narok. But the decision ultimately is supposed to be done by the House.
Mr. Speaker, because it's a matter of interpretation, I do not necessarily have to agree with you, Mr. Speaker, because if you look at standing order number 81B...
Senator Kajwang, the chair has ruled.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not challenge your ruling. But what standing order, and I'm not challenging your ruling, I am proceeding with what I wanted to say.
Proceed,
that
please.
the standing orders, the only thing that requires a resolution is a special committee. The plenary is the default mode of operation of this house. If you want a special committee, you bring a resolution. You seek a resolution of the house. Otherwise, by default, this Senate is supposed to process impeachments in plenary. Special committee is an exception that is acquired through a resolution of the House. And I'm not challenging, Mr. Speaker, I am not challenging the tabling of this motion, because this motion seeks the resolution. Yes. So there's nothing wrong with the motion. But the default position of the Senate is to prosecute in plenary so that all of us can be present. Mr. Speaker, I want to finalize by saying that let us be extremely careful so that those people in the county assembly, in Meru, and in the entire nation does not start looking at us through the coalition colors and through the coalition formations. This debate has been fairly poisonous, and it is exposing some bias that might be prejudicial to what we will be dealing with in the next couple of days. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Senator Ledama. Senator Ledama, order. Order. Senator Chirange. And I need Senator Kajuang. Okay. The mandate of the Senate is to prosecute this matter at the plenary. However, the Senate, in its own wisdom, can decide to form a committee. Yes. Senator Chirange.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the motion from the onset on the three reasons. One, Mr. Speaker, the trophy and the defenders of devolution today in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, goes to the great members of County Assembly of Meru. Mr. Speaker, I hope many MCAs should benchmark with the wonderful work that the MCAs of Meru are doing. They have been very consistent and patient, and I want to laud them for taking the bold step, Mr. Speaker. You know, unfortunately, governors have made most of our MCAs as their partners in bad governance in counties, Mr. Speaker. This should be a warning to many county governors that when you have MCAs who play their rightful role of oversight, Mr. Speaker, then it is very important. So I allowed, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, there are reasons as to why standing order number 80 and section 33 is very clear. Mr. Speaker, when we prosecute either by committee or by plenary, Mr. Speaker, I want to invite most of the colleagues who have never had the privilege and rare opportunity of prosecuting to plenary, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Senator Eddy?
Freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I rise with the point of order of limiting debates. Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Nandi has just prosecuted on this matter conclusively. Stood in front of this House and gave a judgment on the work of MCAs and on the personality of the governor for Meru, which in his own wisdom, what you read as charges that were forwarded before us, the governor stands guilty. Mr. Speaker, the debate that we are having here is whether we are going to prosecute these matters on principle in committee or in the plenary. Is Senator Cherargei in order, Mr. Speaker, to make a judgment on substantive issues that we are yet to discuss as a House, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, you in your ruling, Mr. Speaker, I find this one grossly disorderly, Mr. Speaker. Given that you had given Senator Cherargei a lot of warnings, Mr. Speaker, and I think that he's doing this deliberately, Mr. Speaker, perhaps to actually disregard the orders that you're giving, Mr. Speaker. I think you should find him in order, Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you so, and throw him out of this House, Mr. Speaker, because he's reducing this House to a mere theater of jokes, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chirange, I gave the guidance when I was giving the communication. What is before you is a motion to pass a resolution for special committee. Either you're for it or you're not for it. The substance of the impeachment cannot be the subject matter of any senator's contribution here. It's either you're opposing and you give the reasons why you think the plenary will be a better forum to handle this matter. Kindly avoid delving into the substance of the impeachment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm well guided, but in the words of Burning Spear, there is a saying that we are not all that stupid, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to borrow in the words of Lucky Dube, Mr. Speaker, the reggae, that justice, fairness, and social equality should be the cornerstone, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm saying is we need to ensure that there are principles of natural justice. Mr. Speaker, plenary, Waititu case, Songo case, among other governors that we listened to, Mr. Speaker, through plenary, it gives opportunity to new members to learn. Because Senate should be the learning curve to expose them, Mr. Speaker. The committee way is limited because at the resolution of the committee, I had a misconception and misleading the House at some point by some members that saying Senate will have the second bite on the cherry. It does not have, Mr. Speaker. Because when the committee sits and agree that governor is not guilty or not guilty, Mr. Speaker, then that matter ends there, Mr. Speaker. So we are ready to listen to the plenary way as we listen to the tunes of guitar, Mr. Speaker, so that we understand. Be very keen and be very to listen, Mr. Speaker. So I propose that we go to plenary way. I have been the champion of plenary way on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, so that we have opportunity, Mr. Speaker, so that Senator Crystal Asige, and I want to inform members, Mr. Speaker, for benefit, because I rarely give out my advice pro bono, Mr. Speaker, but today I do it for free. Mr. Speaker, you have opportunity to cross-examine, to analyze, to look at the documentation, Senator Okiya Omtata, so that when somebody moves to court, the way Senator Okiya Omtata moved, Mr. Speaker, they will not question that Senate did not consider, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I oppose. Let us go to plenary way. And I thank my chair, Mr. Speaker. He is always brilliant. Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang is the man to watch.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, I can only pick a senator from this side whose name is on the dashboard. As we speak, the names on the dashboard are all from this side. So if you wish to speak, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say something which hasn't been said, that you see, and honorable members who are practitioners in the court, Mr. Speaker, when a witness appears before you, you have the benefit of looking at that witness. You see the eyes, you see the demeanor of that witness, you appreciate even the voice in terms of presentation, whether that person is actually telling the truth. You have the opportunity to feel that witness. Now, since this Senate is going to be sitting as a court, Mr. Speaker, it's fair, and I'm trying to appeal to the legal minds on the other side, that, Mr. Speaker, since we are sitting
what is your point of
as
order,
a court,
Senator Mungatana, kindly yield.
I will yield.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I wanted, it's a point of clarification. Is the good Senator Mungatana trying to imply that people who cannot see will not be able to prosecute a matter? Is because we know very well that we even in Kenya have a judge who is blind, and he does a fantastic job and he does not see the witness's demeanor, their facial expressions, or anything else in terms of body language. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like some clarification from Mungatana if that point in his argument is actually factual. Thank you.
Senator Mungatana,
Mr. Speaker,
be sensitive on this matter.
I hardly wish to engage my very good friend, because we come a long way with the old man. So I don't want to go that way. But even if you have challenges in terms of visual challenges, Mr. Speaker, you still, when the witness is before you, you feel the voice. You feel it. And Mr. Speaker, especially for people who have been in these courts for a long time, you can actually tell whether a witness is telling a lie or telling the truth. So, Mr. Speaker, my point, which hasn't been said, is that we want the court, the entire Senate, to have the benefit of the witness. I want to see Kawira Mwangaza, because the last time I never saw her. I never heard anything from her. I just, the committee sat and then said she was okay. I want to see her. I want to see what is the problem. How does this person who is disturbing the entire Meru, how does she look like, Mr. Speaker? I just want to see. I support that we should have plenary. I oppose this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo. Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I must thank you because I landed back today from Angola, where you had appointed me to represent this country at the IPU Assembly. And that shows that you have confidence in me. Mr. Speaker, the same thing I can say, whoever put my name on this motion to be a member of the 11-member committee has a lot of confidence in me. Because, Mr. Speaker, I really was part of that committee previously. Probably I bring institutional memory, and probably I know a thing or two. And that's why I'm standing here, Mr. Speaker, to support this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have to support it because I believe the committee work is supposed to investigate and, of course, substantiate the allegations. Now, how does a plenary investigate, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I believe in the rule of law, in processes, because I know one day, one time, I'm going to be here, Mr. Speaker. What I'm trying to insinuate, Mr. Speaker, the only problem...
What is the point of order, Senator Cheriot?
Mr. Speaker, wouldn't it have been, I'm just curious, I've heard Senator Karungo say, how does the plenary do an investigation? Then my question to him is, how will you find out if you don't give yourself the chance to serve in a plenary? Because you've had the opportunity to serve in a committee. Do not be victim of the misinformation that is being peddled on the floor. I have told you as your leader, and I cannot mislead you, that there is nothing that you can do in a committee which you cannot do in plenary, including questioning the witness.
That is more of a point of information than a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that information. I hope you freezed my time. Mr. Speaker, Senator Chute enumerated very well those who went through the committee and those who went through the plenary. May I inform this House that those who went through the committee, they are still in office, or they never left office. Those who went through the plenary, they are home today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so, but my issue...
Order. If you have information to pass, you know exactly what to do.
Mr. Speaker, before I'm informed, I am standing here to say that I believe in the committee way. The only problem with the committee is when they find out that grounds are not substantiated, we don't discuss that report. And that's why I have a bill that is in your office, Mr. Speaker. Probably it will be here, whereby we should always be going through the committee. But either, whether they find substantiated or not substantiated, it must be brought to the plenary for scrutiny so that we can go through it, all of us. But a committee will always do a good work by writing to offices. Now imagine,
we want to stand here as a plenary and I want to investigate myself. Do I write as Senator Dhangwa or do I write to the Speaker for the Speaker to write to that office? But a committee has a chair.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to this motion before I decide whether to oppose or to support. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to have served in the first impeachment as a committee member, and quite sincerely, I hold a favorable view that a committee will do justice to this impeachment process by getting the opportunity to be able to look in depth into the issues. However, Mr. Speaker, I was disadvantaged. It was unfortunate enough the behavior that was portrayed during the first impeachment by members of this House. And members of this House were people who are not members of the committee who really went ahead to give even derogatory statements directly in the face of committee members in the most disrespectful manner, without any justification whatsoever, that has really put a lot of question mark on the diligent investigation done by the committee and the decision that the committee undertook. And eventually what came out is a situation that manifested a position of distrust within our own members here. And I want to go on record for purposes of, for the benefit of the people of Meru County, for them to understand we are not prosecuting anything at the Senate right now. We're only trying to agree on modalities of execution of the responsibility before us, and as such, there's no predetermined position. We're only agreeing which both ways are legal. I incline, because of that bad experience and the position of distrust that was portrayed by members of this House, that maybe for the benefit of them getting to understand the treacherous work that the committees undergo, to give them the opportunity for that to be executed through the plenary as suggested. Both ways are legal, and Honorable Speaker, I am not responding to my brother Kajwang, but there is nothing wrong, with holding different views, in terms of whether A or B, in terms of what is constitutionally allowed. And we're only taking that position. That is my take, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I oppose.
Senator Akinyi Beatrice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the position that we go the committee way. One, Honorable Speaker, from the presentations earlier, one of the senators indicated that we should give new members an opportunity to also get the experience of the committees. And Honorable Speaker, I've seen in the names that have been forwarded, Senator Sige is one of them. She had not been a member of an earlier committee, and so I want to support. That will be a very good opportunity for her also to experience the committee way. And Honorable Speaker, that should also follow that a number of us that are new in the next time will also get an opportunity to experience the committee way of dealing with impeachment. And Honorable Speaker, the second reason why I want to support going by the committee is that committees are also...
Order, Senators. Senator Miraj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The committee will also ensure that the matter is dealt with clarity, Honorable Speaker, because there will be fewer members, less time is spent in the deliberations. And so, Honorable Speaker, I support the committee way so that we also want to see the committee should also intensely study how over 3/4 of MCAs would vote against the governor, and that can only be determined by intensively looking at the matter in a more where less members are. I therefore support the committee way, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Veronica.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I rise to oppose this motion for the reason that Standing Order 80 provides for the procedure for removal of a governor. It provides either for plenary and provides for a special committee. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the functions that are laid out in Standing Order 82A and B, Mr. Speaker, the function remains the same for both the special committee and the plenary, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, just in line with the message you read to this House as you were detailing the charges that have come from the Meru County, it was clear, Mr. Speaker, that when Senate resumes as plenary or as a special committee to consider the charges that are levied against the governor, Mr. Speaker, either the special committee or the plenary will have the function to investigate the matter, and it will sit as a quasi-judicial body, Mr. Speaker. That means it will not be ordinary debate. It will be a body that will be investigative in nature. Any document that is presented, nothing will stop the Senate, the plenary, Mr. Speaker, from questioning any document, taking evidence, Mr. Speaker, calling and cross-examining any witness who appears before the plenary or the special committee. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I have found a bit of submissions that have been brought to this House almost not in consonance with Standing Order 80. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Some senators are thinking that when Senate recedes to discuss or investigate this matter, they will be operating as a normal debate. That cannot be further from the truth, Mr. Speaker. And if, Mr. Speaker, the plenary is not good enough, then the special committee is not good enough. So if the plenary is good, if the special committee is good, then the plenary is good enough, because the special committee will be drawn from the same body of senators, Mr. Speaker. It's not outsiders coming in here. It's the same group of senators, Mr. Speaker. When it is in the plenary, Mr. Speaker, it gives an opportunity to many more senators to bring in their perspective, raise all the questions, interrogate the matter that is before the House, Mr. Speaker, and it brings a richness that comes from the diversity of the number of senators who will be sitting here. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose that motion and say that both should be treated equally. And what the plenary or the special committee will need to do is observe what is provided for under Article 50 of the Constitution to render a fair process to the governor when she appears here and to those who are complaining against the governor, Mr. Speaker. And for those reasons...
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I have listened very carefully to my colleagues who are supporting the motion to have this process done in a committee, and I cannot state a single reason. They say no process is better, but the committee is better. Mr. Speaker, barely 1 year since Governor of Meru, Governor Kawira Mwangaza, appeared before the Senate on an impeachment motion, she is back again. And Mr. Speaker, the day that it was ruled in the County Assembly of Meru that the governor had been impeached, headlines were flowing. The conversation was national. And Mr. Speaker, such a matter that has elicited such interest, such national interest, it is proper as a House that we make the decision to have the plenary process, because it is more transparent, it is more inclusive. Kenyans want to know what is happening in Meru. And this process is going to give even an integrity to this House, because it is going to be open. Nothing is being done behind closed doors. And Mr. Speaker, a motion that Sifuna supports with so much vigor, I cannot be part of. Senator Sifuna, sorry. I must oppose it because for reasons best known to me and my other colleagues who agree with me. So, Mr. Speaker, we have precedents have been set before of successful plenary sessions that executed impeachment processes. Successfully, some saved the governor and some sent the governor home. So, Mr. Speaker, let this House rise to the occasion and do what the country is expecting of us, which is to make this process as open as possible to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Miraj.
Mbona? Asante mstahiki Bwana Spika, na mimi nasimama kupinga hoja hii na kubaliana na seneta mwenzangu Tabitha ya kwamba sisi kama wanawake tutakuwa wachache katika kutoa mwelekeo wa impeachment hii. Kwa hivyo mimi pia naungana na walio wengi kusema hiyo hoja iletwe hapa tuisikize sote kwa pamoja. Asante.
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a staunch defender of women and women's rights, I stand to oppose the motion that has been tabled by Senator Ledama. Mr. Speaker, I've been on record talking about fair hearing. I've been on record talking about transparency, Mr. Speaker. And I believe wherever Governor Kawera is seated and watching and following, I believe that I speak on behalf of her thoughts today, that she wants to come to the public finally to defend and to tell us what is really happening, Mr. Speaker. And plenary offers her that opportunity, Mr. Speaker. As women leaders, we are tired of people insinuating that we are flower girls, insinuating that we are being protected. Let her come to plenary, Mr. Speaker, and defend her leadership and defend what she thinks or she assumes is good governance, Mr. Speaker. Because as women of this country, women leaders, Mr. Speaker, we are tired of being assumed. So, Mr. Speaker, I support that we go for plenary. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that I really want to question, since the last report was tabled of Governor Kawera's impeachment, how many of the 67 senators have actually read that report and can actually tell us that these were the grounds of letting her go? Mr. Speaker, we all know that we trust the committees to do the job and we trust their leadership, Mr. Speaker. And so therefore, when the report is tabled, we trust that the committee has done a good job. But for once, Mr. Speaker, especially for us new senators, we want to interrogate all these questions that are being raised concerning her impeachment, Mr. Speaker. And I stand here, I'm saying this as a staunch defender, a devoted and committed woman leader who really supports women leadership. We would like to see Governor Kawera in plenary so that she can be able to speak on her own behalf and even defend women leaders who are defending her out there. And if she is found guilty, Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one. I'll be the first one to say this woman must go home. And if she's found innocent, Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one again, yet again, as we walked with her down these corridors, to walk with her and show people that women leaders can be given a chance and they can deliver. So I don't think that there's an issue of what we are debating. Let Governor Kawera come to plenary and defend her position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sige.
owners are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started. Beat the November 1st deadline. It is your turn to surrender and report qualifying unclaimed financial assets. Pass the baton. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Katika hii investigation, sa ile weli malisa, weli pata mimi ni nani ya marehemu.
Wewe ni ndugu yake.
Na weli pata hii